And do I have Dr. Debbie Hackett with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. We're good to go. Well, first of all, it's very exciting as we hear people checking in from all over the world. I heard Australia, you heard Hawaii checking in, all through Canada, the U.S., and tonight we have two girls joining us from the U.K. So
whoop, whoop.
They're really up. I guess we could say either late at night or early in the morning. It's somewhere in that area. So welcome to everyone on the line tonight. Certainly people joining us from all over the world. And that's really exciting to get to connect with all of you like this on a weekly basis. For those of you who may be joining us for the very first time, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Cortese. I'm a National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company, and I've had the blessing and good fortune of being with this company now. It'll be 29 years in January will be my 29th anniversary, so almost 3 decades, and looking forward to the next 29 years. It's quite a wonderful place to spend your time from both a business and a friendship standpoint. Our company really is one that has experienced a great deal of success over its entire lifespan. The Juice Plus Company, actually went into business 46 years ago, in 1970. The man who introduced this to the world, this company to the world, Jay Martin, is a very young man, is still the man who owns it and runs it today. And I've always loved the fact that his philosophy is that if his distributors do well, his company will always be successful. And the product lines have always been for the health and well-being of mankind. And so we really enjoy being part of that mission. Early on, the company entered the marketplace with a product I'm sure you're all familiar with today. We were actually the company that invented smoke detectors for the home. And diversifying over the years went into the field of environment with water filtration and air filtration. And 24 years ago, entered the field of health technology with the Juice Plus product and a family of products in the Juice Plus line that we have today. And it certainly was defined, I really have felt, as both last century and this century, not only for our own health and well-being, but for the people that we love and those that we come across on a daily basis. And we've been actually meeting like this for 26 years now on Monday night, and we've always been very blessed. And expertise in their field, or to share, product information. Sometimes we have people come and speak to us on business and business information, and sometimes people from our corporate offices. So we stay closely connected, and our company stays closely connected to us as well. Tonight we're very, very blessed to have a very special speaker with us this evening, Dr. Debbie Hackett. And I'll just tell you a little bit about Debbie. She's someone that I've known and admired for a long time. Dr. Hackett is a semi-retired endocrinologist in Ogden, Utah. She really understood the principle of whole food, plant-based nutrition back in the 1980s when she was a full-time mother of young children. She decided to pursue a medical degree when her children were established in school. She wanted to fulfill a lifelong dream of helping people stay healthy. Dr. Hackett graduated from the University of Utah School of Medicine in 1999 and completed her residency in internal medicine and fellowship in endocrinology at Penn State Milton South Hershey Hospital Center. She retired from her medical practice in June of 2014, but it looks like the clinic felt like they just couldn't do without her. They enticed her to come back in January of this year, so she's back in her doctor coat again, I would say. So Dr. Hackett is going to share with us tonight, her strategies, her thoughts on prevention of diabetes, and just some of her thoughts on Juice Plus and what it does for the body. So Dr. Hackett, maybe you can tell folks a little bit about what really, I guess you would say, was appealing to you about Juice Plus, and then I know everyone is really anxious to hear your thoughts on diabetes and Juice Plus.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on tonight. It is a privilege to be able to share my perspective on why Juice Plus is such an important product for our society and for all of all of us to have better health. So I'm going to be talking about strategies of prevention. And prevention makes sense. And most medical associations try to promote prevention because it's easier than treating chronic disease. Now, when we're talking about prevention of diabetes, we're talking about the type 2.
We're losing you. We're getting about every other word.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Are you on a
Can you hear me better now?
Oh, we're going to try, okay?
Okay. So the thing that's very important about type 2 diabetes is that it is actually a continuum of several different syndromes that can become progressively worse over time. And if you know that you are at risk for diabetes, then you can actually prevent the progression of diabetes early on. Can you hear me okay now?
It gets better, yes.
Okay, let me try a different phone here. Hang on.
Okay,
can you hear me on this phone better?
I think we can. Let's get that one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that phone had a low battery.
And
so the first thing that happens when people are at risk for diabetes is that they develop what's known as insulin resistance. And insulin resistance occurs along the lining or along the cell wall, where then it's basically insulin acts as a key to open doors into the cell so that the cell can get glucose from the bloodstream in order to fuel it, so that it can have the glucose for energy. Now, there are several different syndromes that have been identified, and one of them is called insulin resistance syndrome, which occurs early on. Then there's metabolic syndrome and dysmetabolic syndrome. And there are several different factors that are involved in this. One of them is the fact that as people become resistant to insulin at the cell wall, their blood sugars go higher and they are not able to metabolize carbohydrate very well. The other thing that happens with metabolic syndrome is that many people develop high blood pressure. And most of these people with metabolic syndrome also have problems with their weight. Now, it turns out that you really do not have to lose a lot of weight to prevent progression to diabetes if you have some of these risk factors. You only need to lose 5% of your weight, which is not a huge amount to be able to make a difference in your sensitivity to insulin at the cellular level. And the reason that Juice Plus is so important along these lines is that it helps people to want to eat a healthier diet. There really are only 3 things that we can do to try to prevent the progression of insulin resistance to full-blown diabetes. And that is, we need to choose healthier food choices. And that means a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. In fact, most people are aware of the myplate.gov recommendation that was updated in 2010 to include a picture of a plate, and they have it as a quarter of the plate is vegetable, a quarter is fruit, a quarter is protein, and a quarter is whole grains. Well, in my profession as an endocrinologist, I tell my patients that they need to fill their plate half full of vegetables at least twice a day. And that can be a combination of salad and cooked vegetables. But having more vegetables is very important. Hello? Are you still there?
we're here, yes.
Okay. Very important in terms of having adequate fiber in your diet to improve your digestive system, but also all the micronutrients. And so one of the studies that has meant a lot to me in terms of Juice Plus being used in the prevention of diabetes was the study that was done at Nemours Clinic in Florida. In that study, they chose adolescent boys, and they were at risk for diabetes, and some of them were already showing signs of being overweight. And what they discovered in that study is that Juice Plus, when it was given to those boys that were on that product, they actually decreased their insulin resistance. What that means is that they had better sensitivity to insulin at the cellular level. So that is huge. So if you know anyone who is at risk for diabetes, you want to make sure that they take Juice Plus, because not only is it eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and filling your plate, half full of vegetables at 2 meals a day, but you're getting the added nutrition from the abundance of fruit and vegetable powders in Juice Plus that are picked at the peak of ripeness and that we know is absorbed into the body. We know it's bioavailable. And we also know that people who are on, or who take Juice Plus, who include Juice Plus in their diet, they also choose to eat more fruits and vegetables because it creates a hunger for more fruits and vegetables and less for the soda. We know that from our children's health study, where children over time stop wanting to eat as many sugary sweets and things like soda pop. So that is one of the major benefits of having Juice Plus as a stable part of your daily diet. The other research in Juice Plus that is beneficial for people who are at risk for diabetes is the fact that it lowers inflammation. Inflammation is a key factor of coronary artery disease, of developing heart attacks or stroke, and we want to do whatever we can to lower inflammation. Now, it turns out that one of the main ways of preventing diabetes, or as it progresses from metabolic syndrome, is exercise. However, when we exercise, we often create more oxidative stress because we're burning a hotter fire. And we know that Juice Plus helps people recover from exercise. So when we talk about exercise in terms of preventing diabetes, you don't have to be an athlete. It turns out that many studies, including the Diabetes Prevention Program, found out that walking 30 minutes on 5 days of the week was sufficient for people to not progress from pre-diabetes to frank diabetes. And that has been confirmed in many other studies. Now, it turns out that walking for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, is about 150 minutes that we need to do each week. But you don't necessarily have to walk in 30-minute blocks. It turns out that as long as you can exercise for 10 minutes at a time, you will have a benefit to your overall physiology from the movement. And it's also, people are often surprised. Walking is gentle exercise, but other activities such as gardening, house cleaning, watching, picking up after children, all those activities count as activity. We want to remember that in our hunter-gatherer days, that mankind would walk many miles just in pursuit of food. And so we are programmed to be walkers. but there are other activities that we can do that will keep our heart rate moving and help us stay healthy. And then the other thing we want to do to prevent diabetes is we want to have a plan. We don't want to be sidetracked when we're suddenly presented with unhealthy food choices. We want to have an idea of what we will do when we're faced with challenges. And sometimes that means having a partner or a family member that will help you say no to the very sugary treats that are going to be very common as we get towards the end of this year, in the holiday season. But there is also a strategy that you can use that will mitigate against the damage of too many sweets, and that is to just have 2 or 3 bites maximum. And the other thing I would often tell my patients is that the timing of when you have any type of sugary treat should be immediately after your main meal, so that the protein and the fiber from your food slows down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. This helps prevent some of those big sugar spikes that can occur and raise inflammation and cause damage to different parts of the body. We know that we want to prevent diabetes because the complications of diabetes are extremely serious. And one of the reasons for people to want to try to prevent it early on is as we develop pre-diabetes, some of these complications are already starting to happen even before people are diagnosed and treated for diabetes. So knowing how to prevent diabetes from progressing is really, really important. And one of the things that I found when I was thinking about this talk was kind of a fun little article that was produced by the National Institutes of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. And it's called, There Are 50 Ways to Prevent Diabetes. And to me, it reminded me of the song that Paul Simon wrote about 50 ways to leave your lover. And some of them are kind of fun, and so I thought I might call some of them out. So one of them is put less on your plate, Nate, which is a takeoff on that song. And so having smaller portions can be a very valuable way to eat less. Eat a small meal, Lucille. In some of our pregnant patients, we would frequently advise that they would eat 6 smaller meals throughout the day rather than a large, than the 3 large meals, because then they never had the problem with their sugar spiking in between meals. Sometimes it's nice to eat slowly, time yourself while you're eating so that your stomach has time to send the signal to your brain that you are full. It often takes about 20 minutes for your brain to reach to get the message that you have had enough to eat. Some of the other things are, like I said, in terms of moving more every day, bike riding, swimming, dancing, going to your local park or health department to get maps of trails in your area. We are very fortunate in this area where we have an abundance of trails in our hills to be able to take advantage of. Putting music on when you're doing housework can help it feel more like dancing. Making sure that you park your car further away from the store. That gives you more time to get activity throughout the day. And then the other thing that is important is if you have a sedentary job, you want to be sure to stand up at least once an hour and move. You can move just by walking around your desk. You can do some stretches. Some people even advocate having these a desk that is raised up higher so that you are standing a better portion of the day. Standing is not quite as good as walking, but it is still beneficial for you in terms of strength training and also for balance. And that there are some desks, I think, that even have either treadmills underneath them so that people can actually walk while they work at their desk. These are good ideas that are coming into the mainstream that I think will help people move more, since so many of us do have sedentary occupations. So the other thing that is really important in terms of making healthy food choices is to make sure that the fats that you eat are the healthy fats. We talk about that in terms of the omega-3s and the omega-6s of oils that are important, but we need to have the right proportion of omega-3 and omega-6. Our diet in the United States tends to have an abundance